Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life today, let's talk about some keys to choosing your success circle. Now, we have jump-started our success series, and during this first week, it's all about refreshing and reigniting your goals. If you're not moving forward towards achieving anything, if you feel stuck, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you have some insurmountable obstacles that you can't overcome, if they seem to be in your way and you just don't feel like achieving your goals with excitement and you're moving so slowly until you actually get nothing done. Well, that's why I thought it would be great if we started out the first week by refreshing and reigniting your goals. So if you missed the podcast on Monday, please go back and listen to that, because I give you a very good method for refreshing and reigniting your goals. Now, here's the thing. Even though you refresh and reignite your goals, it becomes very difficult to stay on course if you are connected to people that don't inspire you, don't amplify you, don't have the reciprocal type of attitude. It can be a drain on you. And so no matter how much you refresh and reignite your goals, you'll find yourself doing that over and over, because as human beings, no one gets to the top by themselves. The concept of a self-made millionaire, that simply means that that individual decided to become a millionaire, decided to map out the plan and actually followed through on the plan. But you know what? They needed a team. With that being said, I want to share with you some keys to choosing your success circle. Now, your success circle is not just the people that you deal with in business. And I will tell you, there's a book called From Good to Great, and it's by Jim Collins. And in that book, he explains that you're only going to be as good or as great as the people on your team or the people that you surround yourself with. So with that being said, my question to you is, who's in your sphere of influence? And so what is your sphere of influence? First of all, your sphere of influence, it's the network of people that surround you, that you deal with on a daily basis, or people that you allow to be, I want to say, close to you. In other words, they're in close proximity to you. They have access to you at will, and that's your sphere of influence. These are people that you know, people that you trust, and people that trust you and know you, and they're open to your message. You guys can have differences. You can have challenges, and you know what? You will face them together. You'll cheer each other on, and also you will tell each other the truth. This is how you build trust. And no one grows by hiding the truth. People are very sensitive today. In fact, they get offended if the wind blows in a direction that they don't think the wind should blow in. So with that being said, you have to really be careful about the people that you surround yourself with. If you find yourself connected to people where you have to hide who you are, you have to say what they want you to say, and be or behave in a manner in which they want you to behave, and do only the things that they want to do, I'm not sure. It doesn't mean you guys can't be friends. You can just be friends from a distance, or you can be friends who kind of hang out from time to time, but you will only become so close. So during this series, one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is visualize your network kind of from the inside out. In other words, you're in the middle, and then you want to write the names of the people who are in your inner circle. So it would be you in the first circle. Your inner circle is your second circle. And then you have a close circle. Okay, that's going to be your third circle. Now you're in the middle, and your inner circle, let's say these would be the 3 to 5 people that you trust the most, the people that you don't mind sharing some of your deep, dark secrets or sharing your dreams with. And of course, the third circle would be your close circle. And these would be your mentors, your accountability partners. If you feel like you need an accountability partner, notice that the accountability partner is actually in the third circle. And that accountability partner is in the third circle is because they don't need to know all of your dreams. They don't need to know everything that you're thinking and everything that you're doing. They are there perhaps to hold you accountable in a particular area. For example, you may have a fitness trainer. And so if you have a fitness trainer, that fitness trainer is just there for that purpose, to help you to become fit. Now, while fitness trainers will do other things, the reality of it is they're going to be focused on helping you achieve your goal of becoming fit. So that would be your third circle. And then, of course, it goes out from there. So you have your people that you network with and your colleagues. These are professional contacts, people that you deal with in your business, and clients, and perhaps referral partners. So that would be like a fourth circle. And finally, you have a fifth circle. This is community and reach. In other words, who are you reaching towards? Who are you connecting to? So that would include social media, speaking in front of audiences, and even people who perhaps are listening to like this podcast. You are a part of my community. All of these circles are important. This is your sphere of influence. Hence, a sphere is a circle, which you guys knew that, right? So they're all important, every single one of them. And as I have mentioned them, you want to take the time to see if you can fill in the blanks. Who's in your inner circle? Who's in your close circle? Who's in your network or among your colleagues? And who's in your community and perhaps your reach, people that you can connect with, as I said, like social media and just groups, networking type of groups. It is extremely important that you take the time to write out your success circle and know exactly who's in your success circle and make sure they are in fact contributing to your success. But here's the other side. You are supposed to be contributing to their success as well. And just to give you a scripture that supports that, it's Proverbs. And in Proverbs, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So you're supposed to be sharpening each other as iron sharpens iron. Here's another one, and this one is really good. And this is also in Proverbs. It says, walk with the wise and you'll become wise. It says, associate with fools and you'll get into trouble. And while I'm not calling anybody a fool, this is what the scripture says. But I can tell you, if you hang around the wrong people, their thoughts will become your thoughts. And eventually, if you hang around them long enough, then your behavior becomes like their behavior, or you do nothing, meaning because you just want to fit in and you've kind of tossed your authenticity to the wind, just so you can fit into a group of people, that your life is not as exciting. Achieving your goals, you're not excited to do that. And you're not excited because even if you have a small win, you cannot share it with that group. Okay. And I can tell you it's very real. And sometimes you have to make the hard choices in life. And I may have shared this story. I'm pretty sure I have, but it's been probably years ago on this podcast, where I shared the story about the friends that I had. And the very first time, this was before I earned six figures, and I wanted to earn my first six figures. Now, I wanted to earn the six figures because I knew what earning that money would do for my life, what it would do for my family, and it would actually help me to fulfill my dreams. Well, I made the mistake, and see, we live and we learn. I was in real estate at the time. And when I was in real estate, I had never, ever seen like these really big, beautiful model homes, and I've never seen like $1 million home, or never been in a gated community where everything was so clean and so nice, and everything was, the yards were well manicured. Well, as a realtor during that time, it was a lot easier to get into the gated communities. And I showed my card and I went in to look at the model homes, and I thought, these are amazing. Well, at the time, that model home was about $450,000. Now, today, that same home is probably worth well over $1 million. But where the market was at that time, 450,000, that was a lot of money. And I remember walking into that home and I thought, wow, people actually live like this. This is amazing. Sometimes people will look at that and they will kind of, scoff at it and think, oh, well, I don't need all of this, and no one needs a house this big and this kind of thing. If you want a house that's like that, then you don't need to be around people who can't connect to your dream. Well, after seeing these model homes, I was super excited. So I decided to take some of my friends with me, and I said, you guys have got to see these homes. Well, they had never seen homes like these other than in a magazine. And of course, they didn't live in this type of neighborhood. So when I took them in, they thought the homes were nice. Okay. But I made the mistake of opening my mouth and saying, I said, you know what? One day I'm going to live in this community. And they immediately started telling me all the reasons why it wasn't possible. It wasn't going to happen. And, they're not going to let you live in this community. I'm like, who the heck is they? The Bible doesn't say, there's a they that won't let you do something. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It says, call those things that be not as though they were. So I was banking on that. And even though I didn't know, I was in real estate, but I didn't know how I was going to earn that kind of money, or if I could. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it my best because this is a nice community. The other thing I liked about it is it kind of felt safe. So with that being said, of course, if fast forward perhaps a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years later, actually not 4, about 3 years later, I actually ended up moving into that community. But I'm sharing this story because what I want you guys to understand, that in order for me to start moving up the ranks, so to speak, and to start building a successful business, I had to surround myself with other people who were interested in being a success and who were already successful. So I was humble enough to learn from those who were successful, and those who were interested in becoming successful. I was fine with us hanging out because we didn't talk each other out of our dreams. We didn't talk each other out of our goals. As a matter of fact, we amplified each other. We excited each other. And it was so great. And it was such a good feeling. And we would share where the next networking meeting was and all of these things. And so it was just a lot of fun. In the meantime, those same friends said, well, that I thought I was, becoming too good for them. And it's not that I thought that. I just made a decision about what I wanted for my life and how I wanted to live my life. I felt like I deserved to have the best. Think about that. I don't think God put anybody on this earth so they can settle. And so it is about getting what you want. And it doesn't mean you have to want, like a certain size home or anything like that. It just means that the vision that you have, it's your vision. It's your dream. Whatever your purpose is, it's your purpose. It's no one else's. And so if there's someone in your life that's talking you out of these things, well, you have some decisions to make. So here's the thing. When it comes to choosing your success circle, you have to be intentional about the people that you connect with, the people that you hang around. They don't all have to be rich people. It's not about that. It is about their attitude. It is about their energy. It is about their activities. Where are they headed? And because you don't want to be around a group of people who just want to sit around and complain about what isn't working in the world. Listen, you guys, it's our world. So we're here to make it work. Okay. Go and read it. The Bible tells us God gave us dominion over the earth. It doesn't just say man, it says male and female, man and woman. So we both have a mission, and our missions are different, but we still have a mission. So the point that I'm making is, instead of spending time around people who are talking about what's wrong, what isn't working, what's bad, figure out the good that you're supposed to do. And this kind of goes back to my theory I've been sharing on this podcast for years, is that if we all had the courage to do what God put each of us on earth to do, there would be a lot less complaining. There would actually be a lot less crime. There would be a lot more happy people. And so the point that I'm making is, choose your success circle based on people who are going to support you. Now, here's a caveat. Support is not always about people saying what you want to hear and being your greatest cheerleader and telling you how great you are. Do you need to hear that sometimes? Absolutely. But sometimes you also need someone to call you on the carpet and say, hey, you know what? You're good at this, but this, perhaps, if you're going to win or you're going to serve your purpose or achieve the goals that you set, then you either need to get someone that can help you with this, or you need to change some things in this area. I've been fortunate enough throughout my life, after I became an adult, to meet people who would tell me the truth. Now, I met a lot of people who didn't tell me the truth, but who would talk behind my back. But the point I'm making is that the ones who told me, they told me with compassion, because they saw something in me and they wanted to help me succeed. They wanted to help me bring out the best parts of me. And so think about this. These are the kind of people that you want in your circle. I have never shied away from someone who would tell me, hey, you know what, in this particular area, you could stand to sharpen up a little bit. Okay, I set out and go to work. Now, as I said, they would tell me with compassion, not with rudeness, not being snide. But you know what, in all honesty, while the people who were rude or snide, they probably wouldn't be in my circle. The truth of the matter is, because I'm a pragmatic person, and I encourage you guys to be practical in your thinking when it comes to achieving your goals, they don't have to be nice. They don't always have to say it nicely. But if it's the truth, okay, once I move my ego out of the way, then I will assess that and say, you know what? I don't like what they said. I don't even like how they said it. But you know what? I think they might be right. So think about that. Look at the people in your circle. If you're not excited about achieving your goals at this point, or if you've kind of fizzled out, perhaps you are not around the right people. Now, as we start to wrap up, I want to share just a couple of quick keys, or some more keys, that will help you choose your success circle. And remember, this includes family, friends, colleagues, everyone in the 5 circles that I mentioned, the categories. So with that being said, you want to start with your inner circle and look at the quality of your inner circle. Do the people in your inner circle, do they believe in your ability to achieve something? Look at that. Are they cheering you on? Do you have someone in your inner circle who is putting you down, calling you names, trying to make you feel small? The other thing that you want to pay attention to is, are they giving as much as they're receiving from you, and vice versa? Are you giving as much as you are receiving from them? Now, on the business side, when it comes to growing your business, taking it to another level, it is important that you have a diversified group. Now, I'm not talking about race and nationality. I'm talking about, and it can be that, but what I'm talking about is people from who have a different perspective and who come from different industries. That's important. Do they constantly add value to you? So look at the growth that you're getting from all of your circles, not just the inner circle, but from all of them. Are they adding value to you? Um, Most importantly, check the alignment. In other words, do you guys share the same values? You don't have to be the same. You don't necessarily have to think the same, because that's the beautiful part about having a diversified group. But you do have to have the same values. In other words, are you all honest, or do you have people in your group who want to get something for nothing? So look at that. And in order for you to do that effectively and successfully, you must know what your values are. You have to pay attention to your values. In my book, High Impact Power Goal Setting, I have several pages where I share information about values, and there is kind of a little quiz for you to go through and determine what your values are. And you have to know what you stand for. And these are the trial and error things that I have learned throughout my life. Just because someone smiles at you or they're nice, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that once you connect, you may find that you guys don't have the same values. Okay. And keep in mind, once again, values, it's not about thinking the same. It is about having a set of rules that you live your life by. If they live their life in terms of, let's say, if they think that being poor is glamorous and you think that being rich is glamorous, well, the values don't match. If they think it's okay to gossip and bash a person who's less fortunate, and you think that it's better to show the less fortunate compassion and to see how you can help, values don't match. So you want to pay attention to your group. In order for you to have a successful group that's full of energy and where you're all moving towards an amazing goal to cross that finish line, your value systems must match. And all of the keys that I've shared with you, I talked about reciprocity in terms of, are you giving more than them, or are they giving more than you? I talked about diversity. I talked about growth and of course, alignment. And especially looking at the quality of your inner circle. Now, there are some more keys where you can kind of check the health of your success circle, but I've given you enough for now. Now, what do you do with this? Because we're doing the Summer Success Series, a part of this Summer Success Series is to help you guys really put some attention on where you're headed, who you are, and really get excited about your goals, to kind of reignite and to refresh everything. Part of refreshing means that you have to think things through, and you have to pay attention to aspects of your life. You have to create a keen sense of awareness about what's going on with you and what's affecting you, and who is affecting you. So you have to pay attention to those things. So this is the second part. So the first part, as I said, was on Monday, where I shared how to refresh and reignite your goals. And I think it's a fun exercise. So I want to encourage you guys to go and listen to it. You know, I would say get a journal. It doesn't have to be a big one. It can be even a notebook or loose leaf paper or whatever. But for the next few weeks, I would encourage you to kind of follow along with me and do these exercises that I'm suggesting to you. And we're going to have some downloads for you. But these are what I call thinking exercises, where you don't need anything to interfere with your thinking at this point. So do that first exercise from Monday. And then the next thing is to take a look at your circle. Anybody that's preventing you from becoming a success, it's not their fault if you allow them to stay in your life. Now, here's another caveat, because I've heard some people tell me, well, I'm married to the person that's constantly putting me down. I never encourage divorce. I don't get into that. That's not my call. However, what I will say is be obedient to the calling that God has on your life, and ask God to work things out, and ask God to send you some help. And make the best decision that will allow you to carry out your calling, or that will allow you to be obedient to God. I promise you, if you're obedient to God, and this is something, see, these are things, you guys, I've learned, as I said, through trial and error. If you're obedient to God, you will never, ever lose. So I hope that helps you for whatever it's worth. With that being said, this is the second exercise for you to do. Take the time and look at your success circle. And all of this is kind of the foundation. And we're going to use this throughout the next 5 weeks. We're going to be doing this for 6 weeks. This is week 1. And so after this week, we have 5 more weeks. And so we're going to kind of use this information as your foundation. So in the meantime, I'm going to leave you guys and let you guys get to work. So do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win. And stay tuned for more on the Summer Success series. And as I said, we're going to have some downloads coming up for you. This is going to be fun. Well, wait a minute. It's already fun. Do life with power.